Anyway, next we have here, we were talking about in terms of technology. Obviously, we use a lot of devices for our daily uses. You have cell phones, tablets, laptops, for casual to heavy uses for streaming, watching, or even just sending emails left and right. But the problem here is obviously with different manufacturers, different iOS, meaning Apple, they use different types of cables. It used to be you could use micro USB, then now you have the Type C. But in terms of iOS, they're using the what they call it proprietary Lightning cable, but the cable is totally different. But what's interesting here is uh, it it took the EU first to be able to uh, I'd say mention this, but propose and hopefully make it into a legislation in the near future. Meaning, Apple, for all its technology benefits that it's produced over the course of the years and decades, they try to make it so hard for the Apple ecosystem to not be able to share the benefits of having a Type C cable. But in terms of laptop, they incorporated, but in the smartphones, they intentionally made it so that it's difficult for them to just use a traditional or a common standardized cable here, which is a Type C. Anyway, here in the article appleinsider.com, it mentions that the EU is to propose a common charger for all smart. I think this is tremendous, and we should have been done a long time ago. And this is this is a big black mark for the Apple company, because they've been selling this cable for so long. Unless there's a big advantage for using the data cable, but kind of confusing in your laptop, you're using Type C cable, so you cannot flip flop from one technology to other. So if you're going to bet on the data cable, is it a better technology versus Type C, then you stick with it. But since if you can't, why not just change it to a Type C to make it easier, since a lot of people now are using, whether it's headphones, my Bluetooth headphones, I use the Type C. Smartphones using Type C. Even my Switch is using Type C. My laptop is using Type C, and even my audio Focusrite audio deck is using Type C cable. So a lot of device, even the keyboard that I'm using right now is using Type C. So makes it convenient and even reliable. So that obviously with the Type C, even the Type C cable, it's very nearly impossible for you to make a mistake, because there's no right way of plugging it. As long as you can plug it straight to the port, then you'll be fine, right? Not like with the micro or regular USB. There you have to ensure that it has to be right side up, so that it's a minor problem, but nonetheless a minor inconvenience. And obviously the benefits of using a Type C connector is much bigger than what it used to be here, and which is, I think, I'm all for it here. And according to the EU, there's been a long running plan to harmonize chargers for smartphones. And I think it's not just for smartphones, but I think it should be for all devices as well, like in my case. So if I have a smartphone, a headphone, a laptop that I'm using simultaneously, if I were to have just one cable, wouldn't that be tremendous? Makes it more convenient rather than buy several cables to which being used, for whatever reason that's proprietary, which is so that you have to buy the company's proprietary product, which is kind of frustrating if you think about it. But nonetheless, now it's at Apple's doorstep. Obviously, Apple is behemoth against this transition because it will cut into their profit. But is it any better for the consumer? That's the whole point. If their data cable is any better or significant better than the Type C cable, then they should market that. But if that's not the case, then the consumer should win out at the end of the day, in my opinion. Anyway, according to the EU, they continue to maintain that a common standard would reduce electronic waste, which goes back to another factor with the case of what Apple is doing right now. So it used to be, headphones and chargers are included, right? They remove the headphones, and now they've removed the charger, saying that it's for environmental purposes. But if you're a new Apple user, you're buying, the latest phone or iPhone, you cannot even use your old data cable anymore since it's proprietary. Then the later versions, you have to use a Type C cable. And if you don't have a charger, you still have to buy a new one. So it's kind of confusing what Apple is trying to send here. They want you to buy a new product, but they want you to buy also the other accessories which used to be included. That's why I like what Brazil did. They required or forced Apple to include those chargers given in their box, which was you supposed to be given, right? It's part of the pricing strategy. That it's not as if they excluded the charger, made it more affordable. Not really, made it more expensive actually, so that they can generate more profit, more revenue, and more higher margins than what they're earning right now. Anyway, so at the end of the day, the key here is it's not just the EU should be pushing this standardized charger, but also in the United States and the rest of the world, so that companies like Apple cannot simply take advantage of, keep on charging every penny for every accessories that you need to buy for your devices here. Now, obviously, there are still limits as to what a Type C cable can do in terms of, I think, still, it still cannot power a XPS 15 laptop. You have to buy a powerful brick to be able to accommodate it. But still, it's using Type C cable now. So if you can just have one charger to rule them all, so to speak, then it would be more convenient, right? Whichever company could produce it, then maybe Apple should consider producing a better Type C cable and so forth. Not just make the proprietary cable, so that it makes it difficult for the intercompatibility of the cables here. Anyway, so companies like Apple, uh, I'm sorry. So the common charger has been around for more than a decade already. Even Apple was included, has signed a voluntary memorandum of understanding, agreeing to work on harmonizing chargers. Yeah, it's just a voluntary memorandum, but do they have to follow? Not really. And based on their action, obviously they don't want that to affect their bottom line. So it just goes to show you what the agendas of each companies are at the end of the day, based on their action, not based on what they have signed or have said in the public place here. And obviously this has failed, and the EU believes that if companies won't work the move themselves, then the government should intervene. That's like what's happening in the United States with the antitrust issues with the four tech companies: Amazon, Google, Apple. What's the other company? Facebook, Google. I forgot which four. What are the four? Amazon, Google, Amazon, Google, Apple, and Facebook. Those four tech companies. Should they be allowed to gain even more power as they grow over the years? Obviously, as a business, they're doing tremendous, right? But on the other hand, as a consumer, this is not beneficial for any one of us here. So until the government steps in, regulates what they're doing, that oops, you're overstepping your lines. This is not beneficial for the consumer anymore. Then something has to change here. Now, obviously, there has been advocates for this one, but it's an upfield battle. So stay tuned for how it develops in the future here.